You know, I've looked at moving because I'd like to keep more of my money too. And
where should Maher move? How many people moved out of your state, California?
Oh, I know. No,
Under Newsom?
Yeah, no. People do move. There's no doubt about that. People move in America, and you're right.
No, but they're not moving because they want a better view. They like to keep more of their money that they earn.
True. Yeah, you know, that's true.
Florida is a really good case study. So when DeSantis became governor, there were 250,000 more registered Democrats in Florida when he became governor 8 years ago. Now there's 1.4 million more registered Republicans in Florida. That's all migration from COVID and re-registration from COVID, 100%. Right. So it absolutely...
Bill Maher is once again criticizing the political left over what he views as the decline of several major cities that have historically supported Democratic leadership. The comedian argues that many voters feel overlooked as leaders focus on ideological debates rather than everyday concerns. According to Maher, issues such as public safety, affordability, and economic stability have left many residents frustrated and dissatisfied. He contends that this growing disconnect could create long-term political consequences for the Democratic Party if these concerns continue to go unaddressed.
I read that the current mayor of Chicago has an approval rating of 6.6%.
Round it up, 7.
I mean, you were just the ambassador to Japan. If that was your approval rating in Japan, they would do Hira on live TV.
They would do it at 27.
I mean, what's going on in Chicago as the person?
Look, I mean, we were talking about this a little earlier. I mean, you have also the mayor of New York not doing well. Obviously, other things also here in Los Angeles not doing well, the mayor here. Look, and then you got mayors like the mayor of San Francisco and other cities that are doing well. So I would say, look, there is a general rule. I had this when I was mayor. Safe streets, strong schools, stable finances. Focus on those three things and your city's going to be fine.
Rahm Emanuel begins by explaining why he believes Chicago's mayor is facing extremely low public approval. In his view, the reasons are straightforward and rooted in daily realities that residents experience firsthand. Concerns about crime, financial uncertainty, and struggling schools dominate the lives of many Chicagoans. Emanuel argues that effective leadership should focus on solving these practical problems rather than emphasizing symbolic political battles. He believes many residents feel neglected as city services fail to improve and quality of life concerns continue to grow. According to Emanuel, voters are responding not to rhetoric, but to the results they see in their community.
Through 5 years where people became way too permissive of the culture, they were all, which is why everything's locked up at Walgreens and CVS, and that is a disaster.
Yeah.
And our school, and I'll say this about our schools: I don't want to hear another word about the locker room. I don't want to hear another word about the bathroom. You better start focusing on the classroom.
I agree.
We had the worst reading scores for 8th graders in 30 years. And nobody, not a governor, not a mayor, not a president, not a secretary of education is talking about it. We're all wrapped up. Look, in 7th grade, if I known that I could have said the word they and gotten in the girls' bathroom, I would have done it. Okay, we literally are a superpower. We're facing off against China with 1.4 billion people, and 2/3 of our children can't read 8th grade level. So no more about the lot. Wait a second, I'm on a roll for a second.
Emanuel argues that one of the most serious frustrations facing the country involves the condition of public education. He believes that discussions about academic performance, classroom outcomes, and student achievement have too often been overshadowed by highly divisive cultural debates. According to this perspective, parents are primarily concerned with whether schools are providing strong educational opportunities and preparing students for future success. Emanuel suggests that leadership should prioritize learning, safety, and educational improvement above political controversies. In his view, when core educational challenges remain unresolved, public confidence in institutions continues.
To be fair, this is actually...
I was being fair.
No, this is a huge Democratic Party problem. If you look at Democratic cities, they are terribly run. They have incredibly high taxes. It is impossible to build, so the cost of housing. Let me finish. I give you a chance. That cost of housing is crazy in places like New York and Chicago. If you look at Democratic states, you go look at New York versus Florida. Okay, roughly the same population. The budget of New York State is twice that of Florida. What do they have? The streets paved with gold? I live in New York. I pay the highest taxes in New York. You get nothing for it. And I think that is the image people have of the Democratic Party.
Fareed Zakaria argues that growing dissatisfaction with leadership in some major cities is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. According to this viewpoint, many residents feel burdened by high taxes, extensive regulations, and concerns about declining public safety. Small businesses often face significant challenges, while middle-class families struggle with rising costs and limited opportunities. Zakaria suggests that some people are choosing to relocate because they believe other regions offer a better quality of life, lower costs, and more effective governance. He argues that these decisions are often driven by practical concerns rather than purely ideological preferences.
Lots of taxes, lots of regulation, but nothing gets done.
Hey,
and I think
I live in L.A.
Right. Listen, the Democrats have to own this and realize the answer to everything is not more taxes, more regulation. People are fed up of that, and they feel that it isn't working.
The Democrats, look, as somebody who produced the best graduation growth in the country, and we changed our high school.
You were a good mayor. I agree.
No, that's not the point. The point was we changed, but I'll take that. The point isn't the rules. The point is the results. And the party has gotten way too focused on what the rules are. And I do agree with you on this. We have made it impossible to function as a city or as...
Critics argue that excessive regulation has become a major obstacle to efficient government and economic growth. They contend that many policies create layers of bureaucracy that slow down projects, increase costs, and frustrate both businesses and residents. Tasks that should be completed quickly often require lengthy approval processes involving multiple agencies and administrative reviews. Small business owners, homeowners, and workers frequently encounter delays when trying to expand, renovate, or invest in their communities. According to this criticism, government should focus more on effectiveness and outcomes rather than continually adding new rules and procedures.
An example of this here obviously in LA, it took a fire and a natural disaster to make you realize, you know what, that rule's not that important. In Pennsylvania, a bridge collapsed. All of a sudden we go, well, that environmental rule is just not important. We got to build a bridge. It's much more important. And I think the Democratic Party should take a look at it and say, we're going to be honest, like we did in 1994 with reinventing government. Everything is on the table. Nothing is safe. And we can just look at it and say, that's essential. Those two things get out of here. And that doesn't happen. And that's
Emanuel argues that if Democrats hope to restore confidence in the cities they govern, they must address concerns about overregulation and administrative inefficiency. He points to places such as Los Angeles, where residents face high taxes while often questioning whether public services and infrastructure improvements justify the costs. Major housing developments and public projects can take years to complete because of permitting requirements, regulatory reviews, and bureaucratic delays. Emanuel believes voters want visible progress rather than promises, studies, or lengthy planning processes. In his view, improving efficiency and accountability is essential for rebuilding public trust.
I think that Mamdani's election will lead more financial organizations to leave New York City for Wall Street South in Florida. Tell me, I've read that term just recently, Wall Street South, Florida. This is your state. What is that?
A lot of Wall Street guys have moved to Palm Beach. It's been happening really since COVID. It's accelerated with increases in taxes. It's not just out of New York. It's New Jersey, Connecticut, it's Chicago, it's California.
So they're fleeing high tax blue states for Florida.
Many observers point to the movement of businesses and residents away from states such as California and New York as evidence of broader dissatisfaction with current conditions. Business owners frequently cite taxes, regulations, and operational costs as reasons for relocating, while residents often point to affordability concerns public safety issues, and declining infrastructure. For many people, these decisions are difficult because they involve leaving communities where they have lived and worked for years. Critics argue that these trends should be viewed as warning signs that policymakers need to address. According to this perspective, long-term success depends on creating environments where opportunity, affordability, and quality of life can coexist.